everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on our 100 Questions in 100 Days live series on Facebook once again. I am still Fiona Manley from Mortgage Choice in Noarlunga, and today we are really excited about having a special guest. A couple of weeks ago I talked about some of the benefits that I thought about having a property manager, but in the week since then I have had a chat with a couple, and the beautiful Nicole from Trove Property Management has agreed to join us, much to her horror, on our 100 Questions Live. And who better to ask about the benefits than someone who actually does it all day every day for their job. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today, Nicole. It's fantastic. Education is such an important thing for me, and it's great to be able to tell people the benefits from your perspective of having a property manager. So I thought we would just start with a few questions. And the first question, obviously, is what would you say the top 3 benefits of using a property manager are?
Sure. I think, in the first instance when we're leasing a home is to make sure that the rent is set at the right price. So, it's no point in trying to overachieve, because then you're losing, 2 or 3 weeks worth of rent in trying to attain a price that's not suitable. So getting the price right at the start really minimises that vacancy time, and then saves you money in the long run as a landlord. Secondly, getting the best tenant possible. So the screening process of an application, we do a national tenancy database check, and landlords don't have access to that, so that saves you, future costs perhaps in rent arrears. But having a tenant database as well, as an agent we have an active database of tenants looking for a property. So it's a matter of making sure that we can access that straight away and lease it really quickly to tenants that are already registered and looking for a property.
Yeah, brilliant.
And then in relation to finalisation of a lease renewal is making sure that rent is increased at a great rate, if we can increase it, and making sure the market is there. But as a private landlord, you might be a bit concerned because you've created a relationship with that tenant about increasing the rent, even though it really is there in the market. So as an agent, you're there as a buffer, and we're able to walk the tenant through that process and the landlord, and really gain the best possible price for the property. Yeah, fantastic.
Cool. So that's 3 things. One of the things that we have in our industry all the time, sometimes it feels like it's daily, is changes in legal and legislative requirements and those sorts of things. Do you have that in your industry?
Yes, we get legislation changes as well, and
legal challenges, I would imagine.
So there's a lot of legal paperwork and requirements for us as a managing agent, and as a landlord it can be a little bit overwhelming with knowing the facts and when to serve the appropriate notices and timeframes around that. So that's what we do daily. So it saves the landlord time in researching what forms to do, serving the notices and that sort of thing. So having that daily knowledge from us is really a time saver, really. We save landlords time.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So saving them time. Are there other ways that you save landlords, like maybe money or other time?
Reducing the vacancy time in a property is number 1. So having that database there to access when we need to relet a home, having the knowledge of the rental amount and what's appropriate to relet it at, that's really important. And obviously making sure that we have regular tradespeople who we use all the time, and they are on our database, so they get regular work with us, which means we get reduced rates for our landlords.
So they can come in and do the work that needs to be done.
But at a reduced rate. So because they get consistent work from us, you'll get a cheaper rate generally than a tradesman you phoned on the day. In the financial statements is another thing. So obviously we have a computer system in place, and that receipts all the rent for you, and at the end of financial year it prints out a statement with all the costs involved. So at your accountant or your bookkeeper, it saves them time in gathering all that information.
Fantastic. And when we were working out what we were going to say, you were talking about a situation that you had recently that saved a landlord some money.
So routine inspections is a really thorough, important job that we do. And at those quarterly inspections, we pick up things that perhaps tenants have caused damages or that need to be rectified either at the end of the lease or during the tenancy. And of course we try to get those items rectified while they're in the property.
Yeah.
And the reason is it saves the in the long term any more damages or cost in finalisation of a tenancy. So we had a stovetop that was cracked and damaged, and the tenant was asked to rectify that during tenancy, and that saved $700 or $800 coming out of the bond.
Yeah. And I imagine at the end of their lease, if that had been left, then there would be a period of time where the landlord wouldn't have been able to rent the property out. So you've just saved that landlord perhaps 2 weeks because they can get someone in there quickly.
Yeah.
You've also actually given the tenant a really good experience, I would imagine, because they don't lose their bond at the end of it. They get to fix it during their tenancy.
Yeah.
So you've possibly actually got a happy tenant who will actually stay, because let's face it, nobody really wants to move every 6 months or 12 months.
Yeah. No, that's really good.
Yeah, excellent. So we've been through a fair bit already. We've talked about getting a really good a really good rental value. So making sure that you've got that at the market rate and helping landlords increase that if you can. The legislative stuff, so making sure that you are serving the right notices at the right time and going through all those processes, and your business obviously has those procedures in place.
Yes.
Are there any other things that you think are a benefit of using a property manager?
Yeah, so we have access to the computer program, so tenants, long-term, good quality tenants really like to rent through an agent as well, which saves an owner in securing the best tenant possible.
Yep.
And those tenants really like the rent tracking system, so they can see their rents printed out in the statement. And for you guys, if they are going for a home loan in the future, it's a really simple way for them to prove their rent is paid on time. Some landlords just don't have those systems in place.
Yeah.
And then time-savvy landlords, so a lot of landlords are very busy, so we do save landlords time, and especially if they like to have overseas holidays, if they are overseas and the toilet, needs attending to, who is the tenant going to call? So having us available 24/7, and we do have after-hours emergencies, is a really good factor for agents, landlords to know that we're there.
That's brilliant. Yes, so when your toilet breaks just as your 21-year-old is about to have a 21st birthday party, it would have been handy to, not that we're renting, but I can imagine, that would be a...
And we have a thick skin,
kind of situation.
So, sometimes, you have to deal with an upset tenant, and, it's not nice as a landlord to have to do that if you have that relationship with them, and, you might want to bring something up with them that you haven't been happy with, or the rent arrears. And that's, rent's really important when you've got a mortgage and you need that to come in regularly. So having an agent as a buffer there to really take control and get that sorted out saves the landlord money in the long run.
That's awesome. And you're right, that rental statement that you were talking about just a moment ago is definitely something that we use for first home buyers when they're trying to prove to a lender that they have that they're able to meet their mortgage commitment. And there are a couple of lenders on our panel that will use that rental statement as a genuine proof of genuine savings. So it saves, if you've inherited some money, or mum and dad are happy to gift you some cash or something along those lines, you don't have to have that money in your account for 3 months. If you've been renting through an agent, you can actually use that rental statement to get yourself straight into a house, which is perhaps not good for you, because then you lose a tenant.
That's okay. We actually have tenants can come back as investors down the long run.
Fantastic.
But also the insurances as well. As an agent, quite often some policies reduce the cost of the policy because you're with the managing agent. So if you're a private landlord, the risk is higher with insurance companies, so they do charge you.
I have heard that there's some agencies that will allow that reduction. That's fantastic. So whilst many of my investors, particularly first time investors, are a little bit nervous about bringing on a property manager, what you've outlined today actually shows that it can be quite a big savings and help you have a much smoother process of that investment experience. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know I really appreciate that you've stepped out of your comfort zone there. I'm an expert at this. I've been doing it for 47 days now. Wow. Yeah, so 47. So we're coming up to our 50th next week. Watch out for a super party for the 50th halfway mark. It is Friday. Yes, we've made it through another week. Have an absolutely awesome weekend, everybody, and we will see you next week with a couple of extra special guests. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye.